if we look into the verses that describe Jannah, describe paradise in Quran, we can see that it is very descriptive. It is very descriptive. So the point of a very descriptive verses are not to state facts. It is to trigger your visualization, and kalau bahasa Melayu kata terliu sampai, oh, I really want that, right? It should trigger that. It should trigger that desire. So because if you see some verse, they say you are sitting down, reclining, etc., right? If we just go on that verse as a fact, so why is Allah telling me I will sit down? But it's those verses actually to bring you through an experience, right? Meaning you're reclining, no need to stand up, someone will serve you. Meaning those journey will actually give you a sort of, this is what I want. At the end of the day, this is what I want, right? So it should trigger that emotion, and that emotion would actually trigger you want to strive further and further and have istiqamah, etc., right? So there are verses that describe scenery. So this is just Google picture of different type of scenery that maybe this looks nice. Some people are willing to spend 1,000 just to have great scenery like this. But in Jannah, Allah says this can be yours, right? So those should be that kind of motivation that's strong enough. There are verses about rivers, and those verses actually, for example, Jannatin tajri min tahtihal anhar, right? Jannatin tajri min tahtihal anhar. Verses that is very common, but if you try to visualize, it's actually very hard to visualize, right? Jannat is jama, meaning not just one garden, multiple gardens. Tajri min tahtihal anhar. And anhar is jama, meaning that below the gardens there are multiple rivers. How to even imagine that, right? So it's meaning if you try to imagine, I'm not sure. Some students says, oh, is it like the Avatar movie, etc.? There's a river on top of whatever, right? So whatever you want to imagine, but it is meaning Allah is how to say, enticing you with imageries that should trigger your desire actually. Of course, there are also different type of desire, total relaxation, for example, beautiful spouse, etc., and etc., right? So all those type of verses, if you read and if you understand Arabic, it is very descriptive. It trigger your emotion.